Hi there guys, how's it going? So it is the 13th of the month, and as always that means it's time for a new Organization 13 member. This month is Demyx, so his medal is a reverse magic medal. Obviously that comes with an event with 13 stages and up to 5,000 jewels being awarded, as well as 5 trait medals for this guy. I don't believe the event is too difficult from what I've been hearing, but I haven't really looked at it. All I know is that Demyx himself comes flanked with, I guess, some shadow enemies meant to represent his, water clones, his water shadows, if you will. So that's kind of cool. In terms of the medal, though, we can obviously translate, and hope that we're correct from the Japanese information page. So based on that, we know here's a medal that costs 6 gauges, but also gives you 6 gauges back. So hopefully you guys can see that at the top right there. Again, very, very costly for a Keyblade like Diamond Dust. But I mean, of course, if you go ahead and pop a skill, AB7 max, AB6 max, and an SP reduction skill, then you are gaining a ton of gauges back by using him. It's just a case of, do you have enough gauges to cast him in the first place? As a 6-star medal, he gives you pretty good defensive buffs. So he goes ahead and buffs you defensively. Your general defense up to +7, power, speed, and magic defense to +7, which is as high as your defenses can possibly get. In terms of debuffing the enemy, he gets rid of 4 stages of the enemy's general attack. He doesn't get rid of their P, S, or M attacks, so I don't know. I'm confused on him as a medal, because you do still need a little bit of support to take down. Like, some of the enemies that we've seen so far really 100% required you to get your defenses all the way up and your enemy's offense all the way down, as well as their PSM offense all the way down. But I guess if you combine this with either a Foreteller or either Kyrie or Shion Plus, then that works really well, because you're probably going to be using either a Foreteller or Kyrie or Shion Plus to get the rest of your buffs out. So it does fit pretty well as a defensive medal. It does a lot of things and combines them into one medal slot. Like, let's say you have Mrs. Incredible right now being a really good medal that gets rid of -7 tiers of your enemy's offense. The fact that this thing lasts multiple turns, in fact it lasts 5 turns, is really crazy, meaning that if you get either extra attack on it or you cast it every single if you cast it multiple turns, by the second turn onwards, you're going to be at, the enemy's going to be at -7 general attack, which, again, for the more difficult enemies, might be what you need. And then, obviously, you'll be casting your Kyrie or Shion Plus every time to get that, again, that PSM debuff down. What I'm trying to say is it's a very, very good defensive medal. Is it as good as Ava? That's a really good question, Damien. You just asked yourself then. Let's go have a think, because Ava, this is Ava right here. So, she does very similar things to Demyx. The only difference is she doesn't get rid of general attack, she gets rid of PSM attack. So in any case, if you want to be fully defensive, you're going to have to work on getting rid of that general attack somehow. In fact, she doesn't improve your general defense, so ironically, even though she is quite a good defensive medal, I'd say Demyx is a better defensive medal than she is. She's sort of a hybrid between defense and offense, whereas Demyx is, well, at the same time, he doesn't give you any offensive buffs, but he hits like a truck. Let's talk about his multiplier really quickly there. So down the bottom left, we can see the multipliers. It's basically based on how many turns you're in the battle for. So the more turns you are, okay, let's say on turn 1, if you fully guilted this thing out, the 6-star version at, the full 230%, on turn 1, it'll hit with a 15 multiplier at the maximum amount of turns, which I don't actually know. I would love to be able to test, and now that we have that training stage, we actually can test out, okay, where does the damage cap out? I would like to do that, or if any of you guys have already pulled for him and want to help me out in terms of figuring out where that maximum turn limit is, hit me up, because I'd love to know. I've guessed turn 5 only because his buffs last for 5 turns, but that is complete speculation on my part. I wouldn't assume it would be much higher than 5, like maybe 7, because let's be real here, we're not going to... I mean, PvP might have 7 turns in it one day, but I don't think it's going to go any higher than that, and I don't know, anything else I'll say from this point on is speculation. I know there are already some medals with this condition, but I actually don't know what they are off the top of my head, so if you guys do know, hit me up, or we'll figure it out together. When he is a 7-star though, this is really interesting, because he hits with one of the strongest multipliers in the game. So again, being a single target tier 8, he gets a huge buff to his multiplier. If we go ahead and pull up the graph, as we always do, we can see in the very, very top right corner all the new the tier 8 single target and random target medals. And if we go ahead and pull this one up, a zoomed in version of that, we can go ahead and see here that he is very, very strong. Slightly stronger than Sykes Plus, slightly stronger than Riku Plus, acting as a single target, and marginally weaker. Like, again, I've got them spaced out here, if you guys can see that, I've got them spaced out here, the Invisible, Demyx Plus, and then Sykes Plus. They are closer than what that graph makes them appear to be. I literally couldn't if I put them as close as they actually were, they'd effectively all be overlapping. So in terms of strength, they're effectively all the same. Meaning it's very, very, very strong, like at its maximum amount of turns. However, like I did say, that is when you surpass a certain amount of turns, meaning that if you want to use it on turn 1, which a lot of challenges require you to clear stuff in turn 1, like in one turn, then he's not going to be super useful. Well, I mean, he is. He's still a very, very, very good medal, but he does become outclassed by some, tier 7s on the left here. Overall, I don't know what to think about him as a medal. Like, again, sort of thinking in the future here, because obviously in PvP, you can increase the turn counter like that, so you could save him for your back keyblades, and then you'd hit. Okay, let's assume that the multipliers linearly increase from turn 1 up to turn 5 there, right? So let's say it is turn 5. I am correct in saying that, meaning that, okay, turn 1 is right here, right? Turn 3 would be about here, and then turn 5 would be up to where you actually see it on the graph. So he'd still be pretty powerful if you kept him, if you didn't use him immediately, but kept him towards the back. But at the same time, he gains the buffs, his buffs last for 5 turns, so in effect, you're kind of wasting those buffs. It's a confusing medal. I think it's very, very, very good defensively. If you wanted to, like, pick this thing up, maybe put a raid trait on it, then you'd pretty much have the perfect raiding medal, because, you go ahead and attack this with a single target, and you never really have to worry about being killed. Right? This thing is going to be extremely, extremely powerful in terms of, I don't know, your survivability. Again, if you combine this with either a Kari or a Shion Plus, your survivability is going to be huge. And the only reason I say a raid trait is because, I mean, he gives you 6 gauges back. If you put him on, like, again, I'm always thinking fairy stars here. If you put him on your fairy stars, then you've got an amazing defensive medal. And in that case, maybe you want to put, I don't know. I don't really think I'd ever recommend a defense boost skill on him, just because you'd be wasting that insanely huge multiplier. I mean, it's a very, 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 very strong medal, like I said before. I don't know. I don't know whether to pull or skip this one. The banner it comes in is garbage. Again, it's the same tier 6s, tier 7s that we've had a billion times over. They haven't, well, the Japanese version hasn't increased that whatsoever. So, yeah, I'm debating it. I'm definitely going to go ahead and try and do the event as quickly as possible to pick up that 5k, and I'll try and stream that for you guys if that's something you want to watch. Speaking of streams, I assume Endorphin and I know Lost are going to be streaming the event as soon as it comes out. Hopefully I get this video out as soon as possible, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. But yeah, we'll check in tomorrow when we know a little bit more about this medal. In the meantime, I don't know what to think about it. If you missed Violet, you missed Mrs. Incredible, and you missed Ava, a 5 pull Mercy for this medal is a pretty good investment, to be honest. And again, you're going to get 5k from the event. It's the same sort of thing. There are a lot of things competing for your jewels right now, and I imagine there's still a lot more will come. But organization members, I don't know, defensive medals are very good. Again, if you missed Mrs. Incredible, you missed Violet, you missed Ava, you probably want to do yourself a favor and pull for this. It's not even that, like, it's not even just a defensive medal. Again, that multiplier is nothing to scoff at. That multiplier is freaking huge. So you're actually picking yourself up a pretty strong medal at the same time. But again, you still need those 5 tier 8 fairies. Like, I'm thinking right now, I've got this Lexaeus, right, that I'm like 2 tier 8 fairies away from evolving. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, I could evolve that. Or I could potentially pick this thing up, and if it gets, extra attack or good traits, ground, what have you, I might even consider evolving this. But I don't know. It definitely needs some support. Like, it obviously needs, Shion Plus, for example, to support it. But I mean, the buffs do last 5 turns. I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. I really don't know what to think about it. I like it a lot in theory. Yeah, I actually do like it a lot in theory. Okay. But again, it requires support, right? Because you're going to need some either defense boost skills somewhere in your setup to live those hits. And I wouldn't want to waste a defense boost on this. But it's like, okay, well, what if you had a defense boost, 4 or 5 max on your Kairi or your Shion Plus, and then you go ahead and cast that, and then cast this with an attack boost skill, and then you get your survivability that way. I don't know, guys, tell me what you think about it, because I'm really conflicted. Like, part of me really does like it, but I think it's kind of odd. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. I do like it in theory, though. Again, I'm pretty decent on defensive medals because I got Violet and Mrs. Incredible. But I'm really still debating this. Definitely still debating this. Anyway, guys, we'll find out tomorrow. We're going to have 2 weeks to pull for it, so catch me tomorrow for the event, and I'll see you guys soon. All the best. Bye.